Okay, so I have one of these things now. This is a 2000 Ford E350 Super Duty with the 7.3 Power Stroke diesel in it. This thing was manufactured as a cutaway chassis with the ambulance kit, which means it's got a box frame. There's actually sort of a double frame under there. It's got dual alternators, all kinds of fun stuff. It's got a 4-inch floor drop. It's a partial floor drop that was custom built by a company that used to be here in Portland. They have since gone away. We've got a Braun Millennium 2 wheelchair lift there. Got a Rikon transfer seat base, blah, 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 whatever. So I've been working away on this thing, and I haven't really been filming much of it. But I figured today, might as well do something, kind of show the process. It's really bright out here. So the plan is we're going to attempt to change the fuel filter. And on these 7.3s, they're in the valley on the engine, kind of near the front. I don't know if I can reach it or not. It's been a while since I've had the airbox off of one of these vans. And yeah, regardless, we're going to change the air filters out, look at a couple other things. There's one sensor that I need to check as well, which is the ICP, or the injection control pressure sensor. Van runs fine. Got 218,000 miles on it. Doesn't smoke at all, even on cold start. And runs really well. So I worked for Ford years ago in the diesel shop, and it was about the time that these engines were pretty prevalent. And I worked specifically in the drivability area in the shop, which means we track down weird little problems that don't cause the check engine light to come on. Things like, you know, on a Tuesday after dark when it's raining, if I turn left, the engine stalls, you know, try to figure out things like that. I have noticed, though, there is a weird little idle problem on this. It's not major, but seeing as how I know these engines, we need to check that sensor. What'll happen with them is oil will leak through the connections. So that's pretty easy to check, and it's also right next to the fuel filter. So we're going to see if we can do any of this. I got the seat lift on my chair. This van does not have a body lift, so that kind of helps and hurts. When there's a body lift, there's more room in the engine bay, but it makes it harder to reach in there. So anyways, we're gonna take a look at this thing and see if I can repair this on my own. As far as the fuel filter goes anyways. I know I can do the air filters, those are easy. So we've got a Rikon transfer seat base in here. If you watched the previous live stream, I showed some photos. I guess I'll put those in here too. But this van used to be owned by a friend of mine and was stolen and then recovered. Some random guy bought it back from the auction, and then I happened to drive by the guy that bought it. A weird chain of events, but I have it now, which is kind of cool. But he had put a different seat in here, something out of a conversion van, and the problem was the seat was so big that this transfer base couldn't rotate without hitting the wall. So I happen to have this stock Ford driver's seat, so I put that back in here. And as you can see, we've got the rotation on here. It does go forward and back. This base is designed to have a lift, but it doesn't work for whatever reason. I did replace these two reversing switches. They were both broken. This one works fine, so I didn't worry about that at all. But as far as fuel filter goes, got the doghouse off, and we're going to be pulling the heat shielding off the turbo and the downpipe there. And then I have to reach up underneath there to remove this resonator box that blocks a bunch of stuff. I'm actually going to delete the resonator because, I don't know, I've had these things in the past, and I don't mind the noise that they make without them. I'm curious to see if this thing has keyless entry. I didn't get any remotes with it, obviously. So there's one way to find out. You put the key in the ignition and you turn it on and off like 12 times. And around the 12th or 13th time, if the power door locks cycle, that means we have a keyless entry module. And then I can go grab one of my spare keys that key fobs that I have and program it. So let's see if we have that. We do. All right, cool. I'm gonna turn this back on just to reset it. And actually, while we're here, I think we've got a quiescent power draw and the batteries get kind of low. So I'm gonna fire this up just long enough to charge the batteries, and you get to hear the awesomeness of one of these firing up with no doghouse. So here we go. 2007 3 Power Stroke cold start with no doghouse. And seeing as how we have dual alternators, it'll charge back up pretty quick. So I only have to run this thing for maybe a minute or two, and we'll get the batteries charged back up. Okay, so we ran it just long enough to get some charge into the batteries, but not enough to heat everything up. So let's see here. There's usually... Oh, does this have the second screw in it? No, I don't think so. Come off of there. Come off. Okay, that one was stuck on there. That was a pain. There's this little bracket on the back that no one ever puts the screws in, but then there's part of the turbo pedestal that gets caught right here. So I think what I might do is run a couple of rivets through that before I put it back together, because that is a pain to remove when that gets stuck that way. Here. All right, see what we got going on down here. Looks like we got a little tiny oil leak somewhere. It's not the valve covers. Oh, looks like one of our EGR vents is blowing a little bit of oil maybe. Those things tend to crack. But what we need to remove is this guy right here. And there's one screw right there, and then some clamps. Anyways, I'm just gonna do that real quick. Most of this job is gonna be on the, let me put this back before I lose it. All the diesel grease tends to eat gloves very quickly, but anyways, all the work's gonna be on the outside. So I'm gonna pull that off real quick, and then we're gonna jump outside and see if we can reach this fuel filter. Of course, the clamp's on the front. Maybe we can wiggle this out of here though. No dice. I'm gonna have to get the bolt from the outside. So anyways, let's go out front and see if I can reach any of this stuff from my chair. Okay, here we are under the hood of this thing. Put on a new pair of gloves here. I should probably take off my watch. Back when I was working in the shop, people used to make fun of other techs that wore gloves. I don't care who you are, especially if you're working on a diesel. All the oil and dirt and stuff that's inside these things is not good for your skin and is technically carcinogenic. So in my case, it's kind of pragmatic because I don't have a sink to wash my hands in. So it's a bit easier for me to just wear gloves. But also, seeing as how for some reason my body tends to absorb heavy metals more than the typical person, it's best for me not to get any of that stuff on my hands. By the way, I did call the DMV and managed to get my driver's license situation sorted out. At the end of the live stream last week, you may remember, if you'd watched that I got a very strange phone call. But anyways, the DMV randomly canceled my driver's license with no explanation. And the next day, which was Friday, was Veterans Day, which is a holiday, so they were not open. But I called them today, and turns out, and I'm quoting here, "We thought your mailing address was invalid." So that's why they canceled my license. Anyways, it's taken care of now. Seems like kind of a ridiculous thing to do, but you know, this is Oregon. Why don't I have my magnetic tool tray out here? That would have made this significantly easier. I guess we'll do the dangerous thing and set these up here on the cowl. Got a sensor over here, intake air temperature. I feel like there's another hose somewhere that I'm not remembering. We'll just go ahead and pull this apart. We've got new air filters anyways. These ones have seen better days. Plus, I found wearing gloves gives you a better grip on your tools, at least before they get oily. There we go. Set that over in the inbox so we can do some cleaning on that. I'll pull this guy off of here. Don't really need to remove it, but I like to. Okay. There's our screw for that stupid airbox, or the resonator. Let's see if we can get that loose. Don't usually like using my extension like this because I end up dropping the sockets down inside the valley. Okay, we got it. So there is our fuel filter right there. And I think what we're gonna do is pull this intake tube off of there. That'll make our lives a lot easier. I mean, other than that, everything seems to look okay-ish. Yeah, so here's one alternator, and I think you might be able to see the second one. It's down there in the bottom. Yeah, there it is. There's our second alternator right there. Probably wouldn't hurt to replace the belt on this. That's something I cannot do myself. And that idler could probably be replaced as well. So that's something I'm definitely gonna have to have a shop do, unfortunately. All right, so what time is it? I think it's food time. I'm gonna grab some food, then I'm gonna pull this off of there, and then we will continue. Looks like we've got an aftermarket fuel filter on there. It does not have the factory cap. That looks kind of like a CarQuest style one with that nut there in the middle. Power stroke vans. They're simultaneously much easier and also much more difficult to work on. Oh, interesting note. This little connector piece here goes between, now I said EGR earlier, I meant PCV, but there's a PCV ventilation. You can see that standpipe right there. And you get a little bit of oily, misty stuff in there. But whoever put this back on last time, see how this is slightly out of round? They didn't get the bottom edge sealed. So the oil, misty spray stuff has been dripping out right down there where that mess is. Wouldn't surprise me too. Well, yeah, anyways. That's what's going on there. So we've got, get this flashlight up here. See if I can do this with one hand. All right, so we've got, screwdriver's too big. Need the stubby ones. Let's see if we can get it with the extension here. Oh, so close. Okay, there we go. And let's see if this will pop off without damage. Oh, I think we got it. Yes. Okay. Our upper intake pipe is removed. As you can see, our fuel filter's right up there. It's that weird cap with the nut. It's that weird cap with the nut hat on it. So I think we can pull that hose out of there, and we should be good to do some stuff. I'm definitely gonna get all scratched to hell. I try to wear something with long sleeves to mitigate the scratches, but yeah. Okay, here he is, back under the hood. Let's, man, I really need a cart or something to put all this stuff on, but let's carefully worry this out of here. There we go. Man, I don't know if anyone makes a cold air intake for these Power Stroke vans, but, oh, that's the other thing. So we are going to be plugging this off. And years ago, when I had my first Power Stroke van, I found that the cap for an aerosol can fit perfectly in there. But I neglected to realize the amount of heat and vibration that's down here, and that wound up breaking down and sucking a bunch of plastic into the turbo. I happened to have a spare turbo, so I just replaced it, and then I was able to replace the compressor wheel. Then I had a spare again. But what fits in here perfectly is one specific size of soup can, or actually I think it's tomato sauce can. So anyways, we're gonna go to the grocery store and get something to fill that hole, but for now, yeah, I think this thing's in okay shape. Doesn't seem to be torn or anything. It's serviceable. Just have to be careful putting it back on. Put that in our pile of parts. Now, we have plenty of room. Actually, let's take off our sensor here. Remember to put that back on. It will not run without that. Well, it will, but it'll be really mad. So, I think at this point, we're gonna get a bunch of rags and paper towels, put them around that. Some people like to drain the, oh wait, there was this mystery lever here. Hang on, is this? Oh yeah, oh, fuel / water drain. I thought it was some other language, I couldn't figure that out. Some people like to drain the bowls, which you should anyways, to get the water out of the water separator. I usually like to leave them full though when I do this. That makes it much easier to get the thing started again afterwards. Well, let's get the filter out and then I'll have a look down inside there and then we'll mess with that. Oh, that's funny. Apparently I bought a CarQuest replacement. I didn't buy it from CarQuest though, weird. So anyways, this one also comes with a new cap, which is slightly different. And they've updated these with a newer pre-filter now. So that gives a little bit more filtration, because there's some screens in the fuel tank, but there aren't any other filters really in the system. And then we've got the two O-rings that we need. One's sort of a weird lip seal and the other's an O-ring. But yeah, so got that ready to go. Then also we've got a box with a bunch of cardboard in the bottom, because when we get that filter out of there, it's gonna be big drippy. And yeah, well, mess and stuff. And we've got a little stubby one of these here things. And let's see if we can pop this loose. These should not be ridiculously tight. Of course, I say that. Ooh. Is this gonna be stuck on here? Okay, well, my sockets are hopelessly buried right now and I don't feel like digging them out. So we're gonna go a bit old school here, which with the factory style lid, this is kind of what you do anyways, but I think we can get away with it on this, maybe. We'll see here. Depends on the kind of plastic this is. Oh, it's fiberglass. Okay, it started turning. Just more hammer and flat blade action. All right, let's see if our wrench can do anything now. All right, we got it, boys. Oh, I'm starting to get worried there. Things are like oil filters. And that's why I don't like these ones that have the nut on the top, because it gives people the idea that they have to crank them on super tight. It's Napa Gold, by the way. That's what the lid says on it. Looks like our seal's still intact. A little bit of draining. Oh yeah, this filter needs replacing. It's a good thing we're doing this. I'll let this drain here for just a minute while I hold it. Let's take a little nap. With these diesels, especially with unknown history, always want to change the filters. There we go. Can see that one's pretty nasty. Yeah, there's a few chunks in here. I mean, I've seen worse, but like, yeah, something. Okay, let's put this in our little hibernation box here. Actually, let's get this seal out of here. Oh, this is a flat seal. That's why it was so hard to get off. They've upgraded those to like a beveled seal now, or sort of a angled lip seal sort of arrangement. So yeah, down inside this bowl, they have a heating element that prevents the fuel from gelling and all that, and it recirculates back to the tank. So you can get away with driving these without putting anti-gel additive in your fuel, as long as you're not in a ridiculously cold climate. Well, after much screwing around inside, the valve is actually opening, but for some reason it's not draining. So what we're gonna do is put this back together. Then we're gonna use the electric fuel pump, use that to kind of pressurize everything out of there. So we need to put one O-ring right here. So we have that O-ring on there. and then it pushes down like this. And looks like, oh, this does not have the beveled seal. Well, it's sort of a, let me see if I can show this. Oh man, we got diesel everywhere. So it's kind of an interesting profile. It's got a lip on both sides. The other ones from the factory were triangular. They switched over to using those to make them easier to get the lid on and off and stuff. So anyways, oh, I need gloves. Let's tuck this down in here. This filter element is a little bit larger than the old one too. Some people like to lubricate these, but there's already a whole bunch of diesel. So, and that's gonna lubricate it just fine. So install slowly, says written all over the place. So let's get this cap on here. Yeah, if you go too nuts with these, I'm keeping an eye on that seal down there, but if you go too nuts with these, you can get that seal to bunch up and then not gonna have a good time. And then, since I've done this so many times, I'm just gonna use a screwdriver and the mallet to put it back on. You do not wanna go nuts with this torque. You don't want these things ridiculously tight. It'll damage the seals and cause all kinds of problems for the next guy. And then leaks and stuff too. There we go. Just snug is the name of the game. Just remembered, we've got a sensor over here. Need to look at it's the injector pressure. Oh, there it is. I see it. So I'm going to pop this connector off and take a look inside it. Then I'll reposition the camera. We just need to see if there's oil inside of the connector or not. Oh, and it's full of oil. Okay, this is good. Okay, check this out. But yeah, this connector here, completely filled with oil inside. So that's our injection control pressure something solenoid. After a while they start leaking and oil gets into the connector, and then that basically tells the computer what the engine conditions are and doses the right amount of fuel into the injection system, or has the injectors fire a certain amount. So okay, I'm happy to see that. That means that part can be replaced. However, they didn't have one at the parts store. I've already got this all taken apart, and this would clearly be the ideal time to take care of that. This one's gonna be a pain, holy crap. How? Okay, so the engine mounting hook is right in the way, and this is one of the sensors that you can't put on with a socket. And then our pressure line back from the exhaust, or the exhaust back pressure valve sensing line, whatever it's called, is right next to it. Oh, I don't know how I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna call a dealership and see if they have that in stock. If they do, I'll probably just hop in the Caravan and go grab it. If they don't, I'll probably just hit that connector with some brake clean, plug it back in, and it'll be good for 1 to 200 miles. Okay, cool. I'm glad there was oil in there. That makes me feel better. I was starting to think we might have an issue with our valve cover gaskets, which on the 7.3s, the valve cover gasket is the injector harness. And removing the valve covers on this thing is nigh impossible. It might be possible, but it's not something I can do. Okay, let's find out. I'll be back. Okay, after a little bit of looking around, I found one of the sensors at a local parts shop for $108. The factory ones are like $260. Amazon had some for like $16, but the only thing is it's kind of obnoxious to get to. What normally happens with these is after they break down over time, since there's many PSI of oil pressure on one side, it starts leaking through the electrical connector. The factory Ford ones don't do that for about 200,000 miles, but the cheapy Amazon ones do it in about 1 to 2 months apparently. So I found a good compromise with, I forget what brand it is, Sandtech or something, I don't know, but $108, lifetime warranty. So I'm gonna go pick that up. I hooked up the battery charger. There's some quiescent power draw on this thing. This thing does have battery disconnects, and when I turn the batteries on, I can hear some relays clicking in the back somewhere. There's remnants of some stereo system in here, so I think there might be an amp or something back there. I'm still in the process of going through all the wiring, but yeah. And also, I'm not sure how good these batteries are. There's 2 of them, so Yeah, anyways, we just took the charger up to it because we cycled the lift a bunch today. Normally, if I let this thing sit overnight or for 2 nights, it will start, but you can tell they're getting low. So anyways, I'm gonna go grab some parts and then we're gonna button this thing up. And there's flies crawling on my hand. Go away. So I drive 45 minutes to this part store, which I had prepaid for the part, and the website said they had 2 of them in stock. I go inside to pick it up, and they're like, yeah, no, we just ordered that. We don't have it in stock. And a little bit of arguing ensues, or back and forth. Not really arguing, but they said they ordered it from a different store that was 3 towns over. Anyways, they somehow managed to charge me 2 more times for it, and then I didn't even get the part. So, yeah, I got a little bit annoyed. I ended up going to a dealership that was really nearby, and I found it there. Wound up paying a whole bunch of money for it. I think it was like $219 or something like that. But at least it's a factory OEM part. And, yeah. So, at this point, I decided, let's go to the grocery store, and we can grab our tomato soup cans that are just the perfect size to fit inside the hole in the side of the upper intake that the resonator used to plug into. So let's go do that. Okay, so my day has gotten pretty obnoxious and I'm kind of pissed off. This door decided to stop working and I just came to this grocery store to buy some cans or something to block off that that resonator thing, and I can't buy anything. Looks like it's still on the track, I can't tell, but the door will not move and it won't close, and I can't buy my tomato sauce, so I'm annoyed. I get to the grocery store, I find a couple of different smaller soup cans and I think chickpeas or something like that, and tomato sauce that were just the right size to fill that hole. It was like $2 total. I go to check out and they're like, oh, sorry, our internet is down. You know, we can't, you can't use your card. We're cash only. I'm like, how do you not have giant signs outside the store? They're like, yeah, we should probably have someone at the door. And I'm looking around and this grocery store is insanely busy. And it's like, so I can't buy this. Normally they'll manually run your card, you know, with an imprint machine and do it later. But she's just like, nope, sorry, you can't buy anything. If you don't have cash, blah, blah, blah. And just before this happened is when the door on the van got stuck open. So I just left it open outside and I'm already kind of annoyed by that. And this lady's just like, yeah, well, whatever. So I'm just like, well, guess I'm going to leave now. The fun part is I didn't really have an option. So I just had to drive the van back for about 20 minutes on the freeway with the door open. So that's always exciting. I got back to the bus and kind of chilled out for a little while. And then, yeah, then we continue on. Well, I guess we're just going to drive this thing back on the freeway with the door open. I don't know what else to do. Glad I have a new van. I'm tired of tilting forward and leaning back to be able to fit in this thing. Let's see, will the ramp even close on its own? Okay, the door's trying to do something. Stop that. Close. Well, I just pulled it up manually. I really hope the cops don't screw with me. I don't think they should, but gotta get back. So annoyed right now. Luckily, it's a ramp, so we can just manually push it. Not super good for it, but apparently everything's super broken. Okay, made it back. So I won't bore you with the details, but I went to AutoZone. I ordered the part on the website. Website said it was in stock. They had more than one of them. I just went to the dealership, got an OE part. $219 later, we have our sensor and the additional air filter. We're kind of fighting daylight at this point, so I'm gonna get this part in. I can't put the intake back together without that stupid tomato soup can. So I might go to a mini mart or something. This is one of those times where I'm just gonna shut up and like work, and I think I'll feel better when we're done. Once we get this thing back online, we'll be good. I don't know what to do about that other van, but anyways, I'm gonna get this done. I'll be back. Okay, I got the old sensor broken loose. It was a 5/8. I had to hammer on the end of that extension that was pressed up against it, but I think it's gonna come out. I'm twisting it. Look, it's a thing covered in oil. And there's oil down inside the connector. And that was our problem. Goodbye, thing. Behold, in all its glory, the $219 thing. And here's the part number. Apparently it's been superseded a number of times, but this one, I threw the other one on the ground over there, but the other one had the threads down here. This one, they're up here, so I can actually get a wrench on them. So, should make things slightly easier. Oh my holy goodness. So I got this section of the intake put back on. We still don't have the outside one on there. There was, well, someone used the wrong bolt. Actually, you can see right there, if you look, there's a bolt sticking out that's a little bit too long. There was supposed to be another one, which I happen to have a spare of, so I got that installed, so that's on there now. Only problem is, when you get that intake piece on that plastic crankcase vent thing, it will not rotate, no matter what. So it was a whole big thing. By the way, this is on the turbo all the way, it just doesn't look like it. But yeah, regardless, we are ready to fire this up and check for leaks. And also, does it still run? And let's see what happens. All right, we're good. We're not leaking any fuel out of the bowl, and we're also not leaking any oil out of that sensor we just replaced. I would be ever so slightly cranky if that connector was leaking, or that sensor was leaking, but I think we're good. I gotta figure out some sort of plug for that upper intake. You might be wondering, Dan, why don't you just put that resonator back in? Well, that's easy. You gotta pull the exhaust to fit that thing out of there, and I'm not doing that again. Or at least you gotta move the bracket and get the V-band clamp and stuff out of the way. So we'll be able to get rid of this stupid bracket right here. Actually, we'll probably just tighten that down and call it good. And we'll find some sort of plug to put in there. So yeah, okay, we're making progress. So just realized I'm an idiot. I did not plug that sensor in. I had, let's see here. I had cleaned out the connector and I was waiting for it to dry. Oh man, this lighting makes everything look horrible. Yeah, here's our connector. I hadn't plugged it back in because, wait, I just said that. I was waiting for everything to dry, and yeah, I didn't plug it in. So our harness looks fine. A lot of times with these, you have to replace the connector and the pigtail. But in this case, this one is fine. It didn't get too damaged. Just trying to plug it in here. Go in. Well, you know, plug in. There we go. Snapped into place. I don't know why the camera doesn't want to focus, but it's plugged in now. But I have something that may potentially work for our hole plugging issue here. Manifold air pressure cleaner. Oh, it's too small. That would have been perfect. And ironic at the same time. I'm gonna keep digging. We're back at the final stages of assembly here. Got our cover, and got our 2 new air filters. So let's get the air filters in here. And here's the other. I haven't finished, where'd that screwdriver go? Oh, here it is. I haven't finished tightening down the back of the intake inlet back there yet, because this kind of rotates a little bit and I want to get it at the right angle. Lid is not smashing anything. Check all the clips on the back here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're missing the latch on this side, but I think for now it's holding down okay. That feels to be seated. So now we can tighten down this clamp. Okay, now that we know that's all lined up the way it should be, I'm gonna go back inside and let's see, our battery's still charging here. I'm gonna go back inside and get the, what am I trying to say? Now I'm gonna go back inside and tighten down the back of this hose on that crankcase vent adapter thing, and we should be good. By the way, I did find something to plug that hole with. I'll show you in a minute. It's kind of funny. Get our little socket set up here. There we go. And this is our hose clamp right back here. Oh, that's right. This is a little bit long. Let's see if we can get this screwdriver in here. Survey says no. I swear I removed it with this. Aha! How about this? Yeah, there we go. Goes right on there. Probably should have put this in ratchet mode. Oh, it just put itself in ratchet mode. Nice. And click. Okay, now we're gonna fire this thing up again. Last time I did it, it wasn't quite as throttle responsive as it should have been. But now we got that sensor plugged in. Come on, glow plugs. Oh yeah, there we go. We are finally, I think, at the last stages of this. So let's get our bolts tightened down. Okay, I think we now have a van. Of course, I shouldn't jinx this, but we should now have a van that has all the filters changed, the air filters, new $220 thing. I just remembered the Caravan has the door stuck wide open. I hope it's not going to rain tonight. There's no way I can fix that tonight. And honestly, after everything I've done today, I'm probably not going to be much use for a couple of days. So, I don't know. I'm going to get my tools cleaned up. I've got a whole pile of stuff going on over here. And take a sponge bath, I guess. I don't know. I'm going to get this stuff cleaned up, then we're going to go for a test drive. Because I want to hear this thing make turbo-y diesel-y sounds. All right, here we go. We are in this thing. It's gotten warmed up a little bit. We're going to see if our strange idle issue has mysteriously fixed itself with a bunch of parts. Well, mostly it was that one sensor. And then the fuel filter definitely needed to be changed because banned from unknown source. Oh yeah, I can tell already we've got significantly more power. That ICP module was definitely bad. Oh, I've missed having a power stroke. We're just gonna have to find that vibration that's somewhere on the lift there. Yep, our idle is nice and smooth now. Like I said, it wasn't rough before, but it had a little bit of a wobble to it. Not enough to throw a, check engine light or codes or anything like that. But yeah, now it's nice and smooth. And we've probably got at least a third more power than we did before. So that should help our fuel economy as well. But yeah, we fixed it. Great. Okay, we're here on the floor. Luckily I have this foam mat. It's a little bit muddy and gross out here, but I would venture to say that roller back there is not supposed to be where it is. So what happened was I went to the grocery store, I went to get out, and the power motor on this door is not super strong. So sometimes it'll open halfway and then stop and go back. So I quick came back, hit the button to put it in neutral and slid it open the rest of the way. But when I opened it the rest of the way, it went clunk and then it wouldn't close, like no matter what. So I think that roller is something. So I'm gonna see if I can figure this out. I'll be back. Hallelujah. I think we got it. Yeah, of course the latch is stuck now. Oh, hang on, let's unlock it. Ow! My fingers. Where's my remote? Okay. Now, for the most dangerous place to be, when you push the lift button. Ooh, it seems to be working. Okay, hit the button again before the ramp comes out. Ah! Stop. Go back in. Okay, it just popped off the track. Good. Oh, man. Hey, spring a leak. I think we're good. So, these foam mats come in handy. Like I said, the ground is kind of disgusting. All right. I don't even know what to say at this point. Well, I think the day was successful or something. I'm gonna get back in my chair now. That was a lot of doing of stuff. It was actually last night. It's now, can we get more light on the subject here? There we go. It's the next day now. So driving that van back here with that door open was slightly obnoxious. And every time I turned left, I had to reach back and grab the ramp with my other hand to keep it from folding out into traffic. So that was fun. I'm glad yesterday is done. The Power Stroke seems to be running good now, so nice to get that taken care of. No oil leaks or fuel leaks or anything. I'm gonna have to put a muffler on that thing though. I'm gonna have to get like a high flow one or something. I suppose I could point the exhaust out the back, maybe that might help, but there's a lot of resonation from the exhaust inside the van because it pops out right behind the tire on the driver's side. But anyways, a friend called and wanted to go bowling with a few of us today. So we went to some random place on the other side of town and did a little bit of bowling. And then when we were getting ready to go, I got a little bit of a surprise. So yay, bowling. We hung out for a while, then finally decided to leave, head back out towards the van. And I was not expecting this at all, but there's a freaking motorcycle parked right next to my van, right in the spot where it's not possible to get the lift out and get on it. A friend came over, or a friend's helper came over, and we were looking at it, trying to figure out if we could just push it out of the way. Turns out it had a disc brake lock on it, but I had other plans. I wanted to go inside, and this place is bumping with music. And I know the only way they can make an announcement is to turn off the music and make an announcement. So I find the manager, we go over to the bar, I explain what's going on, and then, yeah, they call the guy. They're like, yeah, you're parked illegally, blah, blah, blah. Something, I don't know. So I go back out to the van, wait for him, and he's like, oh, sorry, you know, and I'm just like, all right, dude, come on. He hops on, then forgets that his disc brake lock is still on there, and it starts screeching at him. So goes to take that off, and apparently he's pretty flustered. He's taking the locks off the thing. I'm just sitting there with my hand on the button, getting ready to open the doors and drop the lift down. But he eventually gets on the thing and takes off. Turns out he just wound up completely leaving. I guess he didn't want to go back inside. So he starts leaving, I start putting the lift down, and away he goes. So whatever, it's one of those things. We got him to move, and he probably won't do that again. Unfortunately, I found trying to educate people one person at a time doesn't really work, because this city has 3 million people in it, and yeah, well, whatever. But anyways, it was a fun night. Did the bowling and all that stuff. And apparently now I'm just getting in the van. I'm just kind of narrating what I'm seeing here. And then, yeah, I think that's about it. Close the lift, close the doors, and the day is done, or something. By the way, this is what 6 p.m. looks like now. It gets dark a little earlier than later.